The stars shone cold and distant as the research vessel Enlightenment glided through the void. Director Varl stood on the observation deck, his 4 eyes fixed on the small blue planet growing larger on the main screen. "Such a primitive world," he said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic speech. "Yet the signals we detected are most unusual." Science Officer Trill bobbed her head in agreement. "Their transmissions suggest early spacefaring capabilities, but they're remarkably warlike for such a young species." "All the more reason to study them," Varl replied. "The Council requires complete data on all sentient life. These humans will make a fascinating addition to our archives." The Enlightenment continued its approach, sensors extended and recording. No one on board concerned themselves with standard contact protocols. Why would they? Primitives couldn't possibly understand the complexities of proper galactic etiquette. Meanwhile, aboard the human warship HSS Defiance alarms blared through the command deck. "Unknown vessel approaching Earth defense perimeter, sir," reported the sensor officer. "Not matching any known configuration." Captain Reed stood from his chair, eyes narrowing at the tactical display. "Have they responded to hails?" "Negative, Captain. We've tried all frequencies." Reed's jaw tightened. Humanity had only recently recovered from the devastating resource wars. The prospect of an alien threat was precisely why the Defiance and ships like her had been built. "Bring us to alert status. Arm point defense systems, but keep main weapons cold. Let's not start an interstellar incident if we can help it." On the Enlightenment the crew worked with excited efficiency, completely unaware of the danger they were in. "Fascinating energy readings," Trill said, manipulating her console. "These humans have developed nuclear fission and possibly early fusion technology." "Are they attempting communication?" Varl asked absently, more interested in the biological readings coming from the planet. "Some primitive radio signals, Director. Nothing worth decoding at this stage." The Enlightenment drifted closer, its sensors probing deeper into Earth's defense network. On the Defiance Reed watched the alien ship breach the outer warning line. "Send one more hail," he ordered. "All languages, all frequencies. Make it clear they are to halt and identify themselves." When no response came, Reed made his decision. "Fire a warning shot. Low power, well clear of their vessel. Let's see if that gets their attention." The Defiance's forward laser battery fired, the beam slicing through space just ahead of the alien vessel. Inside the Enlightenment chaos erupted. Alarms wailed as the crew scrambled to make sense of what had happened. "Directed energy weapon," Trill shouted, her usual calm shattered. "The primitives fired on us." Varl rushed to the main console, disbelief evident in all 4 eyes. "Impossible. Their technology shouldn't be capable of." His words were cut short as the ship's computer issued an urgent warning. "Unknown vessel powering weapon systems. Threat assessment, severe. Evasive maneuvers." Varl ordered, finally realizing their terrible mistake. "Retreat to safe distance." The Enlightenment banked hard, its engine straining as it attempted to pull away. But the Defiance was already moving to intercept, its much more powerful engines easily matching the alien vessel's speed. "They're running," Reed observed. "Maintain pursuit course, but hold fire. I want them to know we could have hit them if we wanted to." The human warship shadowed the retreating aliens to the edge of the solar system, only breaking off when the Enlightenment jumped to faster-than-light travel. As the stars stretched and folded around them, Varl slumped in his command chair. What they had discovered was far more significant and terrifying than anyone on the Council could have imagined. These humans weren't simple primitives to be studied and catalogued. They were dangerous. And now, they knew they weren't alone in the universe. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as Director Varl finished his report. The circular room, with its high ceiling and seats arranged in rising tiers, now seemed too small for the weight of what they had just learned. "This is most troubling," said Elder Nex, his wrinkled skin paling to a light blue. "You mean to tell us these humans not only detected your approach but responded with military force?" Varl's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of his distress. The Enlightenment asterisk suffered minor damage to its outer hull. Had the humans wished to destroy us, I believe they could have. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The idea that a species classified as Technology Level 3 could threaten their Level 8 vessels seemed impossible. "Show us this human vessel again," commanded Security Chief Dorn, his voice sharp with suspicion. The central hologram flickered, displaying the Hess Defiance in all its angular utilitarian design. Unlike the elegant curves of council ships, the human warship bristled with weapon ports and sensor arrays. "It's built solely for war," noted Scientist Mailer, leaning forward with keen interest. "Most species develop multi-purpose vessels at this stage. This design indicates a troubling specialization." Director Varl nodded. "Our preliminary analysis suggests their entire space program evolved from military applications. Their history shows constant conflict. They advance through warfare rather than cooperation." "Impossible," Elder Nex declared. "No species reaches space without learning to work together." "These humans have defied that pattern," Varl replied. "They cooperate, yes, but in groups that compete against other groups. Their nations, as they call them, have fought wars using atomic weapons. Yet they survived and continued advancing." The hologram shifted to show intercepted human broadcasts, military vessels launching, soldiers training, weapons being tested. "They're savages," Security Chief Dorn said quietly. "Dangerous savages with technology they shouldn't possess." Scientist Mailer shook her head. "No, they're an anomaly, a fascinating one. They've developed technology without the corresponding cultural evolution we assumed was universal." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Wilson sat at the head of a long table in an underground command center. Officers of various services filled the seats, with Captain Reed standing at a display screen. "The alien vessel retreated at high speed after our warning shot," Reed explained. "Based on their behavior, they appeared more surprised than hostile." Admiral Wilson's weathered face remained impassive. "Surprised or not, they entered our space without permission and ignored all attempts at communication. We must assume they'll return, possibly with more ships." "Agreed, sir," Reed said. The Defiance recorded detailed scans of their vessel. "Their technology appears advanced in some areas, particularly their faster-than-light capabilities." "Recommendations?" Wilson asked the room. The Air Force general spoke first. "We should prepare for all scenarios, from peaceful contact to hostile action. I recommend activating our full orbital defense grid." The intelligence officer nodded. "And we should assemble a battle group. If they return, we need to show strength." Wilson considered for a moment, then turned to Reed. "Captain, your ship made first contact. I'm placing you in command of Battle Group Delta. You'll take the Defiance and 4 other vessels to establish a forward presence at the edge of our system." Reed straightened. "Yes, sir. Your orders are to defend Earth, but avoid escalation if possible. If these aliens return peacefully, we'll talk. If they come looking for a fight," Wilson's voice hardened, "make them regret it." As the meeting ended, Reed stayed behind, studying the alien vessel's image on the screen. "What do you think they wanted?" Wilson asked, joining him. Reed frowned. "Knowledge, sir. They came to study us like animals in a zoo. They never expected the animals to bite back." The observation fleet hung silently at the edge of the solar system, 5 curved vessels arranged in a perfect pentagon formation. Their hulls absorbed rather than reflected light, making them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Inside the lead ship, Science Officer Trill watched the data streams with growing fascination. Her tentacle-like fingers danced across the control panels, sorting through the flood of information being gathered. Their communications are surprisingly advanced, she noted to Director Varl, who had insisted on leading this mission himself after the Council's heated debate. They use encryption methods that show remarkable ingenuity for their technological level. Varl moved closer to the display. Have you decoded any of it? Some, Trill replied. They discuss us frequently. They call the encounter a first contact situation and are debating what our intentions might be. And their military responses. Trill hesitated. Concerning. They've mobilized a group of 5 warships, all heavily armed. They're positioning themselves in a defensive formation that would intercept any direct approach to their planet. Varl's upper eyes narrowed while his lower ones scanned the data. Show me their weaponry again. The screen shifted to display intercepted images of human missile tests, laser defense systems, and rail guns capable of accelerating projectiles to devastating speeds. They rely on kinetic and thermal weapons, Trill explained. Primitive in design, but efficient in their simplicity. Efficient at killing, Varl muttered. Have they detected us? I don't believe so. We're maintaining distance, and our cloaking technology should be well beyond their capabilities. Meanwhile, aboard the HS Defiance Asterisk, Lieutenant Park stared at her sensor readings with growing concern. Captain Reed, she called, I'm detecting unusual gravitational disturbances at the system's edge. They match no known natural phenomenon. Reed moved to her station, studying the subtle anomalies in the data. His years of experience told him these weren't random fluctuations. They're here, he said quietly, watching us. Sir, our visitors have returned, Lieutenant. They're trying to hide, but mass always affects gravity, no matter how advanced their cloaking might be. Reed returned to his command chair, making a quick decision. Prepare a stealth drone. Minimal power signature, full sensor package. Let's get a closer look at our observers. Hours later, a small drone, barely larger than a coffee table, drifted silently through the void, its passive sensors drinking in data about the alien vessels. On the Council observation ship, an alert suddenly sounded. Director, called the security officer. Something is approaching our position. Impossible, Varl said, hurrying to the screen. Their sensors couldn't have detected us at this distance. Yet the evidence was undeniable. A small human device was now less than 10,000 kilometers away, quietly scanning their ships. Should we destroy it? Asked the security officer. Trill intervened. That would reveal our position completely. It appears to be only gathering information, not preparing any attack. Let it observe, Varl decided after a moment. But prepare to jump to safety if larger vessels approach. The drone completed its surveillance mission and returned to the Defiance 12 hours later. Captain Reed and his officers gathered to review its findings. 5 ships, extremely advanced, Reed summarized. Their technology exceeds ours in propulsion, energy generation, and stealth capabilities. Can we defeat them? Asked his tactical officer. Reed studied the images. Their hulls are designed for scientific research, not combat. They have minimal defensive systems and what appear to be very light weapons, possibly just for clearing space debris. He zoomed in on one particular ship. Look at their positioning. They're keeping maximum distance while still being able to observe us. They're being cautious. What are you thinking, Captain? His executive officer asked. Reed's lips curved in a slight smile. They're watching us, studying us, and based on this formation, they're afraid of us. He transmitted the findings to Admiral Wilson with a simple message attached. They wanted knowledge. The Defiance gave them fear. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council stretched into its 5th hour. The chamber, usually a place of calm deliberation, now buzzed with tension and raised voices. These humans represent an unprecedented threat, Security Chief Dorn declared, his fist pounding the polished table. They detected our cloaked observation fleet. Not even the warlike Kreks of the Southern Arm managed that feat when we studied them. Director Varl shook his head. That doesn't justify military action. They've shown restraint. They detected us, but did not attack. Yet, Dorn countered. They did not attack yet. Elder Nex raised a hand for silence. When the room quieted, he spoke softly, forcing everyone to lean in. We have always been guided by knowledge, not fear. But knowledge tells us these humans are dangerous. Their history is written in warfare, their technology developed for destruction. Their first reaction to an unknown ship was to arm weapons. Scientist Miller joined the debate, but they fired only a warning shot. They showed both capability and restraint, a rare combination. Dorn's eyes narrowed. A primitive species that can detect our most advanced cloaking technology will soon develop weapons that can threaten us. We must act now, while we still have the advantage. The council members looked to Elder Nex, who closed his eyes in thought. When he opened them, his decision was clear. We will establish a quarantine zone around the human system. No ships in or out. We will contain this threat while we determine if peaceful contact is possible. Varl stood in protest. This action will be seen as hostile. It could provoke the very conflict we seek to avoid. The decision is made, Nex said firmly. Security Chief Dorn will lead a fleet to establish the quarantine. 20 ships should be sufficient. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the SS Defiance Captain Reed studied the latest sensor readings with growing concern. Movement at the system edge, Lieutenant Park reported. Multiple vessels emerging from faster-than-light travel, much larger signatures than the observation fleet. Reed's face remained composed, but his eyes hardened. How many? 20 ships, sir. Formation suggests military rather than scientific configuration. Reed opened a secure channel to Earth. Admiral Wilson, we have a situation. Wilson's face appeared on screen, lines of worry etched deeper than before. I see the data, Captain. Our analysts agree. This looks like a blockade formation. Or an invasion force, Reed said quietly. Wilson nodded grimly. I'm authorizing full defensive measures. Battle Group Delta will engage if these aliens attempt to move closer to Earth. And if they open communications, then talk. But keep your weapons hot. The channel closed, and Reed turned to his bridge crew. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat operations. Throughout the 5 warships of Battle Group Delta, klaxons sounded. Crew members rushed to their posts. Weapon systems powered up. Engines hummed with increasing energy. On the alien flagship, Dorn watched the humans' reaction with grim satisfaction. See how quickly they prepare for battle. He told his officers. They understand only one language. Force. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human ships. Ignore it, Dorn commanded. Establish the quarantine line. Position the fleet to intercept any vessel attempting to leave their system. As the alien ships moved into formation, Reed watched with a professional eye. Their movements were precise but predictable. They maintained perfect distances between vessels, too perfect. They have no experience in actual combat, he realized aloud. They've never fought a war. His tactical officer looked up. Is that good news, sir? Reed's expression was grim. For us, maybe. For them. He left the thought unfinished as he opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Captain Reed. The aliens are establishing a blockade formation. They've ignored our attempts at communication and are positioning to cut us off from Earth. We will not allow this. He paused, knowing his next orders might start an interstellar war. Prepare to break their line. We're going home. The vast emptiness near Neptune suddenly blazed with light as the human and alien fleets faced each other. The 5 human warships formed a tight arrowhead formation, with the Defiance at its point. Opposing them, the 20 alien vessels arranged themselves in a wide crescent, their sleek hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. They're holding position, Captain, Lieutenant Park reported. No weapons activity detected yet. Reed nodded, eyes fixed on the tactical display. They outnumber us 4-1. But they're spread too thin. There are gaps in their formation. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer announced. It's unusual, not standard radio or laser communication. Put it through, Reed ordered. The bridge speakers emitted a series of musical tones and clicks that meant nothing to human ears. They're trying to talk, Reed realized, but they haven't bothered to learn our language. Or they think we're too primitive to have developed a proper language, his executive officer suggested. Reed's jaw tightened. Send our standard first contact message on all frequencies. Let's see if they're actually trying to communicate or just making noise. On Dorn's command ship, confusion reigned as the humans' response came through. What are they sending? Dorn demanded. His communications officer worked frantically. It appears to be a basic mathematical sequence followed by simple linguistic structures. A primer for communication. Irrelevant. Dorn dismissed. Move the fleet into final quarantine positions. Once established, any vessel attempting to cross the line will be disabled. The alien ships began to move, tightening their crescent formation. Reed watched their movements with a practiced eye. They're closing the noose, he said quietly. All ships prepare for breakthrough maneuver Delta 6. Target engines and weapons systems only. Disabling shots. Throughout Battle Group Delta, missile tubes opened. Laser batteries charged. Rail guns loaded their projectiles. Aboard Dorn's flagship, alarms suddenly blared. The humans are powering weapons, shouted the tactical officer. Impossible, Dorn said. They shouldn't be able to detect our power signatures at this range. But the evidence was clear on every screen. The human ships were preparing for battle. Raise shields, Dorn ordered. Power defensive systems only. We are not aggressors. Too late, he realized his mistake. The humans saw the energy surge of the defensive shields as a hostile action. The Defiance fired first. A burst from its forward laser array struck the shields of Dorn's flagship, causing them to flare brilliantly. Return fire, Dorn commanded, his calm composure finally breaking. Disable their engines. The space between the fleets erupted with energy beams and missile contrails. The human ships broke formation, each vessel moving in seemingly random patterns that made targeting difficult. They're not maintaining proper battle order, Dorn's tactical officer said in confusion. Their movements make no sense. But Reed's strategy soon became clear. The human ships weren't fighting as a coordinated unit. They were fighting as 5 individual predators, each choosing its own targets and angles of attack. The Defiance slipped through a gap in the alien formation, its weapons firing with precision at the engines of 2 alien vessels. Behind it, the other human warships followed, targeting different ships. Half our fleet has reported damage, Dorn's executive officer reported, his voice rising in panic. Their weapons, they're using kinetic projectiles that partially penetrate our shields. Dorn watched in disbelief as the human warships cut through his formation like knives, their primitive but devastating weapons overwhelming sophisticated defenses never designed for actual combat. Fall back, he finally ordered. Regroup at the secondary position. But the human ships pressed their advantage, harrying the retreating aliens, disabling 7 vessels before Dorn managed to reform his lines. As the battle paused, Reed allowed himself a grim smile. Send a message to Admiral Wilson. Neptune's orbit secured. Alien fleet in retreat. No casualties on our side. He looked at the disabled alien ships drifting in space and informed the Admiral that we're about to attempt communication with our visitors. Again, the Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. The news of the fleet's defeat spread through the room like a cold wave, leaving shock in its wake. Half our ships disabled or destroyed, Elder Nex whispered, his skin pale with distress. By a primitive species with only 5 vessels. Director Varl stood before them, having been summoned to explain the disaster. I warned that showing military force would provoke them. They interpreted our quarantine as an act of war. The humans should have been outmatched. Security Chief Dorn shouted from a communication screen. His once proud bearing was now hunched with defeat. Their technology is inferior, their weapons crude. Yet they prevailed. Scientist Mailer noted. They fought with unpredictable tactics. Each ship acted independently instead of maintaining formation. Our captains had no defense against such chaos. Elder Nex's hands trembled as he signed the emergency order. Director Varl, you are removed from your position, effective immediately. Security Chief Dorn will assume control of all first contact protocols. Varl protested. Dorn's approach has already failed. More military action will only. Enough. Nex silenced him. The humans have proven themselves too dangerous for standard procedures. We must contain this threat by any means necessary. Meanwhile, aboard the HS Defiance Dr. Allen bent over her computer console, surrounded by data streams and audio recordings. I think I've got it, Captain, she said, excitement evident in her tired voice. Their language structure is based on musical tones combined with clicks. The mathematical patterns repeat, suggesting it's their equivalent of a first contact protocol. Reed studied the linguist's findings. Can you translate their messages? Partially. They keep referring to something called quarantine and containment. And there's a recurring phrase. She pointed to a sequence on her screen that translates roughly as study or observe. Reed's expression darkened. Study us. Like lab specimens. I believe so. Dr. Allen nodded. There's no aggression in their language patterns. They seem clinically detached. Reed considered this information, then opened a channel to Admiral Wilson. The Admiral's face appeared, lined with the strain of recent events. Captain, your report. Sir, Dr. Allen has made progress with the alien language. It appears their intention was not invasion but containment. They see us as subjects for study, potentially dangerous ones. Wilson frowned. That explains their actions but doesn't excuse them. No, sir. But it suggests we're dealing with a tragic misunderstanding rather than deliberate aggression. What do you recommend? Reed took a deep breath. Let me send Dr. Allen on a diplomatic vessel to meet with their remaining fleet. If we can establish real communication, we might prevent further bloodshed. After a moment's hesitation, Wilson agreed. Make it happen, Captain. But stay alert. This could be a trap. Hours later, a small shuttle departed from the Defiance carrying Dr. Allen and a minimal crew. It approached the alien flagship cautiously, broadcasting a simple message in the alien's own tone language. Aboard Dorn's vessel, Science Officer Trill, who had been attached to his fleet for research purposes, recognized the attempt at communication. They're using our language, she exclaimed. Crude, but recognizable. They're requesting direct communication. Dorn scoffed. Another trick. No, Trill insisted. I've been studying their transmissions. There are clear patterns, sophisticated linguistic structures. They're intelligent, Dorn. They deserve to be heard. Dorn hesitated, then relented. Very well. Bring their shuttle aboard. But at the first sign of deception, we destroy it. The human shuttle docked in the alien ship's bay. Dr. Allen stepped out, unarmed, carrying only a translation device. Trill met her at the airlock, both females studying each other with intense curiosity. Hello, Dr. Allen said, the translation device converting her words into the musical tones of the alien language. I am Dr. Allen of Earth. I come seeking understanding, not conflict. Trill responded, her own translator attempting to form human words. I am Science Officer Trill of the Galactic Council. We also seek knowledge. For the first time, humans and the Council species truly saw each other, not as threats or subjects, but as intelligent beings with a terrible misunderstanding between them. 3 days of intense negotiations had transformed the alien flagship's conference room into a bridge between worlds. Dr. Allen and Science Officer Trill sat across from each other, surrounded by translation devices and cultural reference materials. Your species' development is unprecedented, Trill admitted, her four eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture Dr. Allen now recognized as indicating deep thought. No other species we've encountered developed space travel while still engaged in internal warfare. Conflict drove our innovation, Dr. Allen explained, but it also taught us caution. We react strongly to perceived threats because our history is filled with them. Captain Reed entered, followed by Security Chief Dorn, whose posture remained stiff and formal. "The communication protocols are complete," Reed announced. "Our ships can now understand basic transmissions from Council vessels." Dorn bobbed his head reluctantly. "The Council has agreed to withdraw the quarantine order, pending further diplomatic exchange." Outside the conference room viewport, human and alien ships now floated in peaceful proximity. Engineers from both species worked together to repair damaged vessels, studying each other's technology with professional curiosity. "The Council requests a formal meeting," Dorn continued. "They wish to establish proper relations with Earth." Reed nodded. "Admiral Wilson has authorized me to represent humanity in preliminary discussions. We'll need to establish clear boundaries and expectations. And we must reconsider our classification system," Trill added. "Humans defy our understanding of technological and cultural development." 1 week later, the Council chamber welcomed its first human visitors. Captain Reed stood tall before the assembled aliens, his uniform crisp and decorated with his service medals. "We come seeking peace," he began, the translation playing his words in the musical language of the Council. "But we will defend ourselves if threatened. Earth extends its hand in friendship, but we request respect for our sovereignty and our ways." Elder Nex, humbled by recent events, responded carefully. "The Council acknowledges its error in judgment. We approach your world seeking only knowledge, not understanding that knowledge without respect leads to fear. And fear leads to conflict." Reed finished, a lesson both our peoples have now learned. Security Chief Dorn stepped forward, standing beside Reed. "I advocated for military action against your people. I was wrong. Your ships, your Defiance showed us something we had forgotten in our pursuit of knowledge." "What's that?" Reed asked. "That true wisdom includes knowing when not to fight, but also how to fight if necessary. We had forgotten the latter." The formal treaty took shape over the following days. Earth would join the galactic community, not as a subject for study, but as a sovereign partner. Human military expertise would be respected, while Council scientific knowledge would be shared. As the signing ceremony concluded, Director Varl, reinstated to his position, approached Captain Reed privately. "Your warship has become a symbol throughout Council space," he said. "When the Enlightenment first approached Earth, we wanted only knowledge. And the Defiance gave you fear instead," Reed observed. Varl's upper eyes blinked in what Reed now recognized as amusement. "Yes, but fear can be valuable when it teaches respect. Now perhaps we can move beyond both fear and respect to something more important." "Understanding," Reed suggested. "Precisely." Varl extended his four-fingered hand in the human gesture he had studied, not just of technologies or capabilities, but of perspectives. "You see threats where we see curiosities. We see disorder where you see adaptation." Reed shook the alien's hand, completing humanity's first formal contact with galactic civilization. Different perspectives, different histories, but the same stars to explore. As the Defiance prepared to return to Earth with news of the treaty, Reed stood on his bridge looking out at the vast galaxy now open to humanity. "Set course for home," he ordered, "and prepare for visitors. I believe we have much to learn from each other." The warship that had taught an advanced civilization to fear now led the way to something better, a future where knowledge came with respect, and fear gave way to friendship.